How recognisable are certain guitars when you can't see what's being played? That's the question of today's video, and I'm going to keep it short and I'm going to keep it straight to the point. What I'm going to do is play two guitars back to back, try and play more or less the same thing on both, and the task is for you, the viewers, to try and work out what's being played. And the reason for this is because some guitars have a reputation for having a signature sound. The Les Paul is one of those, and I would say Fender guitars also. They're not the only ones. Gretsch has a very recognisable, again, signature sound. So I want to put it to the test. In this video, I'll be playing, like I said, two guitars. But I'm not going to tell you what they are beforehand. This isn't going to be, you know the guitars, you need to guess which one is which. What I will say is the following. I'll play two guitars. Both of them are in standard tuning. Both of them will be played through exactly the same amplifier. There are no pedals. The only, all the tone will come from the amp, so a bit of gain, but otherwise no effects. And the guitars will be a Gibson, Epiphone, Fender or Squier model. Now the reason I'm saying that is because if you're thinking that there's a Jackson or there's a Gretsch or it's a Les Paul but you think it's from ESP or a different brand, none of that's happening. These are going to be specifically and solely Gibson or Epiphone, Fender or Squier. Now beyond that, I'm not giving any information. It could be that you think you hear two Fenders, maybe you hear two Strats or a Strat and a Telly. You might think you're hearing two Gibson or two Epiphone, or one of each. Maybe you hear a Les Paul and you hear a Telly or a Strat. So that's the test. And at the end of the video, I will do a reveal of what the videos were, so what the guitars were. So you don't have to wait a week or watch another video to get the answer. It's all in this one video, which does mean please don't skip ahead and cheat for the reveal first. And then in terms of what the guitars themselves have, they will be stock. So it's not going to be, you know, find a Les Paul and add in EMG pickups to it or anything like that. The Stratocaster, I mention this because they in particular can have different configurations. My Strat has 3 single coil pickups, so it's not a Strat with a humbucker. Now for Les Pauls, I've deliberately got this face down so you can't see what it is. But in terms of what their sound can be, they are traditionally 2 humbucker guitars, but some have P90s as well, and of course some have 3 humbuckers. So I'm not going to give any more information than that for now. The task is simple. There will be 2 guitars played. They will be Fender, Epiphone, Squier or Gibson, and you'll find out what they are at the end. The guitars are stock. They're going through the same rig. There is no trickery. There is no I'm not going to try and influence one way or the other, except to say if you do think you're hearing anything other than those guitars, you can honestly dismiss that. So with that said, I'm going to play 2 guitars. I'm going to not let you see what it is, so I'm going to turn the camera around, and then once we finish doing the playthrough, I'll show you what the guitars were. Let's do it. So that's the playthrough done. The only question to ask is what you think you heard. Do you think you heard a Gibson Epiphone model and a Fender or Squier model, or two of each? Or are you convinced that it was none and I was tricking you with a different model? So as I said, I'll give you the answers now. If you've seen my videos before, it probably won't surprise you to learn that one of the guitars being played was my 1959 reissue Les Paul. This one is a Gibson. It's a custom shop model, which means being stock, it comes with custom humbuckers. These are basically designed to be clones of the original PAFs in the 50s. And as I said, it's completely stock. What you heard, this was guitar number 1 in the recordings, and it's on the bridge pickup. Tone and volume on 10. I think volume may have been rolled back just to about 9, just to take the highest off. Otherwise, that's it. Now the second guitar, you may or may not be surprised to find out, was another Les Paul. This one is an Epiphone. It is a gold top. It's a 1956 copy, and it has P90s. Again, bridge pickup, everything on 10. May have just rolled back the volume ever so slightly. These were the two guitars. There wasn't a Strat or a Tele or indeed any Fender or Squier. I played 2 Les Pauls. Now the reason for that was because I'm challenging this idea that guitars sound a specific way, particularly when you can't see them. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that our eyes make a big difference to the sound we hear. With guitars, and I would also say with amplifiers. Now that's not to say that guitars don't sound better or worse than others, and it's not to say that you know, a Les Paul or a Strat or a Tele doesn't have those classic recognizable sounds. What it perhaps does show is that other guitars can get pretty close, and I think this guitar in particular, unsurprisingly with P90s, I think this was guitar 2 on the record, and I think the single coil sounds were noticeable next to the humbuckers of that Les Paul. And I think too that with the R9 over here, I think it does a pretty good job at getting close to the clarity, the articulation of single coil pickups as well. That is what the custom buckers were partly designed to do. You know, they're not very high gain, high output pickups where you trade some of that clarity for aggression and warmth. You know, so I think it's to show that with the right dialing in, with mindful usage of the tone and volume controls on the guitar, as I've done videos on before, you really do have a wide palette of tones right at your fingertips. So this doesn't mean, as I said, that, you know, if you want a Telecaster sound or you want a Les Paul sound, then yes, they will be, you know, the best guitars to choose. They effortlessly get there. But it also means that if you have a guitar already, or you're about to buy a guitar and you prefer the look of one, or you like the playability of one, and you worry about the tones, you know, you can do an awful lot with what you have. That's really my philosophy on this, is that most guitars can do most things. And if you turn your eyes off, if you can't see what's being played, then that's especially true. And I think, you know, the really good example of this is with Jimmy Page. Extremely famous Les Paul player. He's synonymous with the Les Paul. When you picture him in your mind, or you see real pictures of him with Led Zeppelin, you see a man playing a Les Paul. But prior to that, he was a well-known Telecaster player, and some of the recordings for Led Zeppelin were with a Telecaster. So we listen to those Telecaster recordings and we believe it's a Les Paul because we know it's Jimmy Page. So make use with what you've got is really what I'm trying to say, and don't think that because you've got a Les Paul, it can only do Les Paul things. And if you've only got a Strat, it can only do Strat things. They're much more versatile tools than we often give them credit for, and we should use them as such. So with that said, as I said, I'm going to try and keep this to a short video, straight to the point. If you have, I'd be curious to know how you guessed, if you knew that it was 2 Les Pauls or not, and if you have other requests for more of these with different types of guitars, if you'd like to hear a shootout between a custom shop with custom buckers against a Les Paul standard with burst buckers in my other Les Paul, you can do that. I have a BC Rich Mockingbird up here which has Seymour Duncan humbuckers. I have as I said, the Stratocaster, and if hearing more of these blind comparisons to try and work out the differences is of interest, let me know. And likewise, if you think there's no merit to these, then let me know that too. But I hope this has been interesting. Hope it gives you some thought for your current or next guitars, and I will see you next time.